football, you've heard me talk about it. It was a lot of fun. That's a fun league to check out. You can download the app. We've talked about it over and over. But he's got some players that the XFL should take a look at, and we'll go over them. They offer lots of talent. But here's his top 5 XFL-worthy players. Of course, let's start with the most obvious one. He says Terrell Owens. Well, he will not be attending. The most obvious name is Martavis Bryant. Bryant is a former 4th-round pick in the NFL in 2014. As in long before he outplayed his draft status, and then only a few later gave us a glimpse of why he fell in the draft. 6 foot, 210 receiver, a couple dominant seasons in the NFL. That was until he had issues passing drug tests. However, the talent was undeniable. In Bryant's first 3 NFL games, he put up 5 reception touchdowns, which is a record for any player in their first 5 games. So he is a guy on the list. I know he is trying out. He's part of the player. I've heard that he's part of the player showcase. So he will be out there. Maybe he got his act together, and he's somebody that we have to keep an eye on there. Next man on the list is Bryson Allen. I've seen Sam has talked about him. He's a running back. His footstep is another recent FCF running back, Cavante Turpin of the USFL's New Jersey Generals. Turpin, of course, is the MVP and set his sights on the NFL. He should get a shot at the NFL. Meanwhile, a man who's similarly electric, Brycen Alleyne, has looked to the XFL showcases after leading the FCF in rushing his first season with the league. That is number 2. Andrew Jameel, he is kind of compared to Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, and Julian Edelman, 5'10", 185. He's got hit with the dreaded small school bias when it came to the NFL and his draft stock. He is a guy that you should keep an eye on there. Deandre Francis, solid quarterback play is a must. So when I heard Francis would be attending, I was certainly excited. No small school player coming out of college. He attended at Florida State from 2015 to 2018 before attending Hampton in 2019. Have similar backgrounds. Francis was a member of the Glacier Boys along with Jameel in season 1. Both players went on to the Spring League and returned to the Glacier Boys. Ultimately decided that was those guys there. Joe Koletta, offensive line, defensive line, with it being only fitting a name like Big Joe Koletta, 6'9", 340 offensive tackle, who also played guard as well, has been growing into the football world since he was 6 years old. So he can play both sides, a big guy and somebody that can block. Definitely need a guy there. Some honorable mentions: Cedric Bird, wide receiver; run back Daryl Virgis; running back Sean Thomas; tight end Tommy Auger; offensive line Jonathan Nurazi; and QB Chris Barrett. That is his list for offensive players. How about some defensive players on this list? So for his defensive players, he's got Cecil Sherry, a linebacker. This list has to be Season 2 Defensive Player of the Year, many known as Scary Sherry. Cecil Sherry. Sherry has been a top player on the spring football circuit for years, but this year he took it to the next level. Traditionally played linebacker through his career. He was asked to add to his repertoire. At times he lined up with his hand in the dirt, defensive end to aid the pass rush. Other times he asked to run with small, speedy receivers the FCF seems to favor. Let's see here. He joined the FC offseason, holding out hope for higher, bigger leagues, but that left him on the back burner. That was before he played all 3 levels in the defense of Season 2 and showcased his versatility. Showed that he belongs in there. So that's a guy that you definitely, I know that now he's signed with the MLFB, Major League Football, so he's going to be playing there, and they're having their season in August. I guess that's just to get more looks. I am hopeful that he's added to the draft pool and he didn't have to try out, and they were like, no, you're good. You'll be in the draft pool, but keep giving us tape, and that's why he did that. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. Quanta Stiggers, defensive back. If Cherry's number 1, then there's no choice at number 2. Stiggers is a ball-hawking, snarling interceptions like a ball belongs to him. He ultimately led the league in turnover force and some. The young defensive back who once looked to the FCF due to a lack of options in the transfer portal, now is one of the biggest stars at only 20 years old. XFL will be foolish not if they didn't send Stiggers and Cherry an invite rather than waiting them to see if they would apply, hoping they do. Yes, he is only 20, and he He was very good in that league. Absolutely would love to see him in there. Slick Nick Williams, a defensive end / tight end, candidate for lineman of the year with good reason. Polling the players across FCF, a name kept coming up, Slick Nick. Offensive lineman respect and borderline fear facing him. Fans and teammates love him. Slick Nick could be another guy that is in the league. Mike Lee, defensive back, another member of the heavy hitters defense, simply too good to ignore. Let's see. This is the 2022 FCF All 24 team voted by the players. Deandre Francis, Mitch Kidd are the quarterbacks. Super back is Malcolm Ballard. Wide receivers, Jordan Smith, Andrew Jameel, Yeti Lewis, Jordan Williams. Tight ends, Tommy Uger and Joshua Johnson. Offensive line, Camille Matthews, DeMarcus Hayes, Abram Hollum for the different things. Defensive line, Nick Williams, Dak Champion, Tobias Cook, and Rusty Becker. Linebacker, Cecil Sherry and Jim Jones. DBs, Marquell Osborne, Quanta, Ben Hunt, Mike Lee, and Julian Charles are some of the names. Now, Jim Jones is a linebacker on there. Played second fiddle to Sherry in season 2. Jones might be the Derek Brooks, 6'2", 225, a little smaller, speedier. It's prototypical Will at the NFL level. Other guys, honorable mention, Deveka Champion, Justin Foster, Darius Stokes, Tobias Cook, and Kevin Petit Ferreri as your name. So these guys are something to keep in mind with that XFL draft coming up and the XFL player pool. We would love to get the full names of all the players in the player pool. The USFL did not do that. I particularly don't think, but the XFL did. They put out all the names that were in that pool, and I would hope that they continue to do that to get fans excited about who could potentially be drafted and players that, remember, the XFL is also going to be looking at players cut from the NFL. So if you're a super fan of the XFL, you got to be hyped to check out guys in the preseason to see who might get cut that the XFL could bring in. Along with your fan control football, you'll be ready to go when the XFL has its draft in November. All right, we'll take a commercial break and we'll be back with your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.